You know, sometimes a company's entire future is revealed in a single moment of crisis. And for Neogen Chemicals, an Indian specialty chemical company, that moment was, well, it was literally a trial by fire. Let's dive into how this one event completely reshaped their entire strategy for the future.
It really did all start with a fire. What could have been a total disaster, something that could have crippled the company, instead ended up shining a massive spotlight on a huge opportunity, a chance to become a critical player in the global electric vehicle supply chain. We're going to break down how this one single event accelerated a bold new chapter for them.
So let's start at the beginning with that trial by fire. The incident at their Dahej plant was a huge blow, no doubt about it. It created some really immediate and significant challenges for the company right off the bat. The fallout was swift. I mean, production just stopped. They had to scramble with contingency plans, which drove up costs, and their profits took a direct hit. On top of that, their insurance premiums, as you can imagine, went through the roof, and their EBITDA margin, which is a really key way to measure profitability, got squeezed hard. On paper, things looked pretty bleak.
But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. Even with the plant out of commission, Neogen somehow managed to grow its revenue by 8%. How? They quickly shifted production to their other sites and even used outsourcing partners to make sure they met demand. This wasn't just getting lucky, it was a sign of some incredible operational muscle and resilience.
And that underlying strength, that proof that they could handle a crisis, gave them the confidence to go all in on their next big thing, battery chemicals. Now, this wasn't just a small expansion. No, this was a full-scale pivot to become a key supplier for the entire electric vehicle revolution.
Okay, so to really get what they're doing, we need to know what they're actually making. The first product is the electrolyte. The easiest way to think of it is as the superhighway inside a battery. It's the liquid that lets all the lithium ions, the little energy carriers, travel back and forth. That's what lets the battery charge up and release power. No electrolyte, no power.
Now, what's really interesting is what goes inside that electrolyte highway, and that's where this stuff comes in, LiPF6 salt. I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, but it is the absolute most important ingredient. This salt is the secret sauce. It's what actually carries the charge. The purity and the quality of this material directly impacts a battery's performance, how long it lasts, and crucially, its safety.
So where does Neogen fit into the whole puzzle? This slide lays it out perfectly. They're not trying to make the final battery cell you'd put in a car. Instead, they're focusing on these two supercritical, high-value ingredients, the LiPF6 salt and then the final electrolyte solution that goes directly into the battery cell. They're positioning themselves right in the sweet spot of the process.
And this is where their strategy gets truly genius. See, it's not just about making battery materials, it's about where they're making them and who they can sell them to. This is all about a massive shift in global politics.
You need to understand this one acronym, FEOC. It stands for Foreign Entity of Concern. Basically, it's a U.S. government label aimed squarely at China and a few other nations. And here's the bottom line. If an automaker uses battery components from a company in one of those FEOC countries, they can't claim billions of dollars in U.S. tax credits. It's a huge deal.
So what this does is it creates two parallel universes for the battery supply chain. You got the old one, which is dominated by China, and then you have this brand new non-FEOC supply chain that automakers in the U.S. and its allied countries are absolutely scrambling to build. And here's the crucial point. Neogen, being an Indian company with Japanese technology partners, is perfectly, and I mean perfectly, positioned to be a leader in this new supply chain.
The company's managing director, Dr. Harding Kanani, he just summed it up perfectly. They're offering the best of both worlds. You get the cost advantages of manufacturing in India, combined with the proven reliable technology from their Japanese partners. That right there is their killer combination. But, of course, building a brand new global supply chain from the ground up, it's not easy, and it's definitely not quick. So let's get real for a second. Neogen has been very open about some of the headwinds and delays they're facing right now.
Just take a look at the numbers. Their revenue guidance for the battery business for this current fiscal year, yeah, it was revised down pretty significantly. But, and this is a big but, look at the projection for next year. They see a massive, massive ramp up. This tells you it's a delay, not a cancellation of the opportunity. Far from it. So, what's causing the holdup? Well, it boils down to a few key things. The new gigafactories being built in India are just taking a little longer to scale up than everyone hoped. The customer approval process for this high-tech salt is also super complex and time-consuming. And finally, you've got some international customers who are basically waiting until the last possible minute in 2026 to switch away from their current Chinese suppliers just to save a bit of money.
Okay, so despite these short-term bumps in the road, the long-term prize here is absolutely enormous. The whole strategy is really built for the road to 2027. That's the year those FEOC rules become mandatory and the market truly fully opens up.
So how big is this opportunity they're chasing? By 2027, the U.S. market alone is projected to need up to 60,000 tons of this special non-FEOC electrolyte salt every single year. That is a gigantic market that is, for all practical purposes, being created from scratch right now.
So who's going to supply all this new demand? This chart tells you everything you need to know. Right now, the entire non-FEOC world has very limited capacity, mostly in Japan and Korea. Neogen's planned capacity would make them one of the largest, if not the largest, single supplier in this incredibly critical new market.
So, it all comes down to this one big question. Neogen is navigating fires, financial pressures, and tricky global timelines. But they are betting big that geopolitics and the green energy transition are creating a once-in-a-generation opportunity. They're placing a massive bet on becoming an essential link in the world's new EV supply chain. The only question left is, will it pay off?